Konnichiwa, my name is Logan Charles Luna, and this video is just going to be a run through my Jojoctober, Jojo October month-long weekly art challenge where I just kind of drew something JoJo's every day for all of October. I did my own kind of weird hybrid prompt list. Sorry, I almost sneezed right there. Like I said, these are unedited live. I just go in one take like Calculon from Futurama and dive right into whatever the hell I'm doing. So for this video, we're going to start off with the first day of JoJo October, which was Mask. The mask starts it all, and this is Dio and Cars with the mask. The next day was favorite part of JoJo's, and I'm not like saying anything that's out of the ordinary. I'm not trying to challenge the status quo with this, but yeah, just Steel Ball Run. It's really good. If you read the manga, check it out. If you are an anime only, yeah, you're gonna have to wait a few years, probably like 5 or 10, before they finally get to animating this part of JoJo's. I mean, we still haven't even actually gotten an announcement for part 6. It might be coming next year, but who knows? Speaking of part 6, here's my favorite JoJo, which was the day 3 prompt, Jolene Cujo. The next prompt was favorite villain. And my favorite villain for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, all of the parts included, so far all the way up to 8, Jojolian, it's going to be Funny Valentine. It's what if the President of the United States was a bad guy? And not like the one that America recently had, and still has, for now at least. Unless he refuses to leave the White House, which would be funny, seeing somebody get evicted from their house on national television. Well, funny in the sense that this person, like, they just won't stop. But even more terrifying than that is, of course, Funny Valentine, the 23rd President of the United States in the Steel Ball Run universe, who literally rapes and murders people in broad daylight and just gets away with it because he's the president. So yeah, that's pretty terrifying. And D4C, just the overpowered level of D4C, it's ridiculous. And the next day was your favorite Joe Bro. My favorite Joe Bro is Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters is just the best. She's your favorite thirsty little plankton. And yeah, nothing more to add. The next prompt was Joe Mom. So favorite Joe Mom is going to be Lisa Lisa. Is she the best mom? No, everyone knows it's Bucciarati. And yeah. The next prompt was love. And I went into this before last time when I did a kind of catch up on my Jojoctober, Jojo October art challenge. And just officially, yeah, go watch that video where I go in depth about it and how Jolene was going to be a lesbian character. Yay. Until Shonen Jump said, Araki, you're experimenting too much. It's time to kill some darlings. So is Ansui going to be a boy or a girl? Ansui can't just be sexually ambiguous anymore. You have to pick a gender. And he decided to go with male because he felt like he needed more male characters to round up the roster. And yeah, that was just a choice that Araki made because Araki didn't want to sacrifice any other parts of the story. So he felt like he could give in on Jolene being straight and not a lesbian. Yep. Next up is one of my favorite artworks from this entire series. And personally, this is one of my favorite, mainly because, so when I was making this one, I really did not rely too much on the reference I had for Jolene's pose. Like, Jolene had done this pose before. I think Araki did it for an art book where Jolene does it on a unicorn. And now on this one, it was just Jolene with the same pose in a dress. And I'm really proud of this one. This is my favorite artwork from the art challenge. That prompt, by the way, was waifu, and this prompt is husbando. And my husbando, the only Joe bro I'd walk down the aisle for, is Bucciarati. So this is where the art challenge really started to get to me. Fatigue was setting in. Besides just drawing stuff, I also had work and other personal things going on, so just doing one of these every day kind of got very nerve-wracking. With the JoJo cover, I went with something simple, which was just the Diamond is Unbreakable characters with the volume cover pose. Didn't turn out that great, but still, I got it finished in time. The next prompt was a OC character. So this is Muscle Buster and her stand, Kazarinare. Talked about this in one of the other update videos, so just gonna move on now. Also talked about this one before, and talked about this one in a sketchbook tour that I did for one of the last sketchbooks I had. This is Joanne and her stand, Pulse Demon, with a AU part for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And next up is video game that was on the prompt list. So the video game I went with was Street Fighter. And, you know, Cammy, Chun-Li, they're my go-to Street Fighter characters. I will always choose them. But lately, Rainbow, Maki, I've been really down with using her moveset, and I love annoying people by beating them with Rainbow Maki because for whatever reason, she's just a really hated Street Fighter character. So it's always fun to win with her. So this is her and her stand, Cold Rain. And now we get into some of the more fun JoJo's Bizarre Adventure artwork that I made for this series. And this was Gender Bend. I decided to gender bend Rohan Kishibe and added Remy so that she could check up on little Rohan and see how she's developed. The next prompt was swimsuit, and the only JoJo's character that I think would ever really look good in a swimsuit is, of course, this one. If you know who she is, congratulations, you're a man of culture. If you don't, well, she's one of the characters in part 8. She's very interesting. There was an arc with her where she kind of had a moment to shine, but not really. But anyway, my favorite Higashikata. Let's move on. Speaking of Higashikata, or Higashikata, I don't know how to say it. We have Josuke, and this was just kind of a mix-up of having all these cards because the prompt was playing card, and I decided to go with a suit of the Diamond is Unbreakable stands. Number 10, of course, is going to be Star Platinum. Queen, who else but Killer Queen. The ace is Crazy Diamond. King is the hand. And the jack of all trades, the little guy who could, Echoes Act 3. So did a crossover with a superhero for prompt on this day, and the superhero I chose was Japanese Spider-Man. 1977's Japanese Spider-Man is just my favorite. Like, I love him. I love him so much. And we're moving on to the next page because I don't want this video to be too long, like some of the other videos I've made. And the next prompt for the day was musician, and I was supposed to make a musician with their stand. Originally, I was going to have a stand put the crown on Billie Eilish, but things fell apart. So I ended up having the crown just be her stand. Her hair kind of did this weird shaped thing. And there's a moon on top because reasons. So one of my other favorite artworks that came from doing this art challenge is the Jolene Cujo album cover with Notorious B.I.G.'s album. And I decided to go with this one because it was a graffiti art style that I really wanted to experiment with. So here's part 6 with an album cover with Jolene Cujo as the king. Next up was Dog. And what better dog in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure than Iggy? I'm sorry, Danny, but Iggy's just the best dog. And as everyone knows, none of the dogs are ever going to have a good time in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So the next day was Dio, and this Dio is just the pose from Stardust Crusaders where he points at the TV when when Joseph is trying to search for Dio. And right behind him is his stand, Zawolda. Next up was a manga crossover, and the manga I decided to go with was One Piece, and this is Nico Robin and her stand. But I didn't really like how this one turned out. I had trouble with just getting all the hands right and putting them in. So eventually it just evolved into having these rose petals fall into place. But, you live and learn. The next one is going to be a anime crossover, and the anime I decided to do a JoJo's crossover with was Carol and Tuesday, because of course, musical references. So Carol's stand is Give You the World, and Tuesday's stand is Loneliest Girl. For the next prompt, it was just making something with the characters from part 2, part 4, part 6, and part 8. So I just did this weird kind of hybrid volume cover for all these characters. We have the bastard of a man himself, Joseph Joestar, Josuke Higashikata, and Gappy over here. Gotta love Gappy, but of course, the main queen, Jolene, up at top. Next up, we have 1, 3, 5, and 7, with these JoJos just striking a pose. And I thought it was funny if I just make Johnny do that weird pose where he's just pointing up for whatever reason and he's hunched over. I think it worked out alright. My favorite one in this artwork, however, has to be Jotaro. Just the way that I got the pose mainly right, and trying to get the hair to blend into the hat. I'm just really proud of the Jotaro I made here. Giorno's pretty good too. Jonathan is solid. Johnny, while being the funniest pose, is the weakest of this lineup right here. Next up was a crossover with cosplay as the prompt. I decided to cosplay the Steven Universe characters Jasper, Peridot, and Lapis to try and do a Stone Ocean motif, but of course Jasper ruins everything, so Jasper ruined their cosplay. We have Lapis over here as Jolene Cujo. We have Peridot as Emporio, but then because she just wanted to look cool, Jasper is Risotto. And around the hat, I even changed the letters to spell out Jasper instead of risotto. Up next is another favorite of my artworks from this challenge. It's going to be a crossover with a animated series and JoJo's, and I decided to go with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Here we have Zuko, Sokka, and Toph with their stands Blue Spirit, because of course. Then we have Wolf Moon and Queen of Rock. And now we have another crossover with the Avatar / Korra universe and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The only thing I don't like about this one is Mako's stand. I really got too ambitious using this brush pen. It's a Pentel silver brush pen that, you know, it obviously made a mess because I'm not that great at using it yet. Other than that, I think my favorite stand from this group is going to be Bolin's stand, because I incorporated parts of just Bolin's earth bending, his lava bending, and of course that sweet jacket that he had when he was Nuktuk. So we're getting towards the end of this, and I kid you not, this was a fan favorite. This was the most liked of all my social media portraying to this art challenge. This one got over like 97 likes. And not that I put too much weight into any of my artwork getting a massive amount of likes. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm happy with it. And sometimes I'll delete stuff that will have a lot of likes on it, but I'm just not happy with it being on my I don't know what the thing is, but timeline or whatever. But yeah, so this prompt was fight, and I chose Jolene Cujo and Stone Ocean going up against Dio over Heaven and the World over Heaven. So the Eyes of Heaven video game is what inspired this artwork, and also I took the pose from one of the volume covers that Jolene did for Stone Ocean. But again, just to reiterate, it seemed to have been people's favorite from the art challenge that I did. You know my favorite. I showed you in the beginning of the video which one my favorite was. So now we're moving on to my second favorite one, which is the Jolene Cujo Art Nouveau style drawing that I did for her. I used to do a lot of stuff like Art Nouveau and photorealism and just real technical stuff. But after a while, I kind of got burned out on it. And then doing storyboarding, I felt like all of that stuff wasn't really necessary when you just want to get the characters across. And most of the time in storyboarding, I wasn't even coloring anything. But yeah, here is a Art Nouveau Jolene Cujo. So the final day of Jojotober, Jojoctober was Halloween. And who better to just surprise you with a terrifying Halloween costume than Spinel. So Spinel is here to take over Jolene's life and dress up as Jolene Cujo because she wants to go on an adventure too. And Jolene just isn't having any of it, so she and Stone Ocean are about to mess Spinel up real good. I really like how Spinel turned out. Jolene, on the other hand, not too much. But again, you live, you learn. The whole point of this art challenge was to push myself and really change how I did things. All of these, while being inspired by JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Araki, were mainly to be done in my own art style because I was really trying to kind of hybrid my art style with Araki's art style to see where I could improve on a lot of things that I just really like about how Araki does it. Now that this challenge is over, I'm not going to be doing any other art challenges in the future, maybe next year. But this is the end. I'll be doing a sketchbook tour on the next video. And this one I'm going to keep around because there's still a lot of pages that I didn't use. So I'm going to continue this once I finish my other sketchbook. But yeah, let me know in the comments which JoJo fan art was your favorite of all the ones I did here. If you want to see more of my fan arts, then go to my social media at LCLX25 on Twitter and Instagram. If you want any special perks like video shoutouts at the end, voting on fan arts, requesting fan arts, video topics for podcasts or any videos that I do here, please do consider joining the Patreon. You can even get special digital commissions and some real eroge stuff if you want me to draw things like that. We're at the end of the video. My name is Logan Charles Luna. Sayonara.